Hello, welcome. Another unboxing video for you today. Slightly different this time. This one is something I picked up, it being half term here at the moment. We went to the Harry Potter Experience studio tour down in, well, it's very much the north of London, near Elstree, where a lot of very, very famous films have been made in the studios there. Warner Brothers decided to keep an entire sort of studio building of the Harry Potter sets, makeup, costumes, etc. So this isn't a plug for them. I obviously not even close to a big enough YouTube channel to get sponsors or anything like that. But basically, if you do like Harry Potter, especially if you've got family that like Harry Potter, and if you can get to it, I would say you will enjoy it so much. It's so interesting. If you're just interested in filmmaking in general, it's still incredibly interesting, the way they explain how everything's done. But this was a souvenir that we picked up in the gift shop. It has a massive gift shop, of course. Everything does these days. Harry Potter Wizard chess set. And I thought people might just be interested if I unbox this, just to see what you get if you get this particular item. I believe you can buy this on their online shop as well. I think you can also pick this up probably at Amazon and places. I didn't check whether it was the exact same set or not. So let's just start with the exterior. It's all copyright of Warner Brothers, of course. Detailed miniature recreation of the final challenge chess set as seen in the movie Harry Potter. It says, and the Sorcerer's Stone. Of course, that's the American name for the film. The original name in the UK version is the Philosopher's Stone. Let's flip that back over. Just slide this off. Oh. I might say who actually made it. I thought, here we go. Down at the bottom here, the Noble Collection. Exclusive treasures, uncompromising value. That would appear to be who's made this. I've already sliced off the shrink wrap cellophane coating. Finish on the box is nice. It's not a sort of a linen finish as you get on some of the luxury finishes on some of the other board games, but it's incredibly well a snug fit. We've got a real air vacuum going on here. It really does not want to come off. Probably going to end up damaging the box at some point trying to just take it on and off. So there we go. That's what greets us when we look inside. We have two bags. Sort of like a very fine nylon-y mesh feel to them. Not sure how, I never know with this kind of bag how strong it really is. I suspect that as long as you put your pieces away carefully, it'll probably last. But it just depends on you and how gentle you are. It's definitely not the strongest of material. Let's have a look at the contents in here. So we have a plastic bag inside. There you go, see, it gives you a sense of how, just a very, very fine mesh. Nice printing though on it. Yeah. Let's have a look then at some of these black pieces first. Well, they are what we saw in the film. Level of detail is fine. Plastic feels like a plastic with ever so slight amount of give to it. Doesn't feel like a super hard brittle plastic. Feels, yes, if I just, I'm not going to break it obviously, but if I just push very gently on the very end of this shield, it just gives slightly. So I think these are going to stand up to the test of time. They feel like they've just got a slight bit of give in them. They're not super hard. Oh yeah, you can see with this shield here. So yeah, but it looks like the pieces from the film to me. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, there's the knight. Slightly bent. Don't worry about that. Now this kind of plastic that's this flexible isn't always great if you're trying to paint a miniature. Not that purchased this to paint it, obviously. Purchased it just because my daughter, who loved the tour, she's been interested in how hard it would be to play chess. This seemed like a good opportunity to get a chess set that might give her a little bit more interest to get involved in. And there we go, the king and the queen. I think we've looked at most of the pieces there, we've seen the bishop, etc. Yeah, okay, so that's all the black pieces. Put them out of the way. Obviously, I'm not expecting a huge shock here. They're going to be almost exactly the same. But the white, again, bag, just slightly lighter mesh. Here we go. So again, as I say, no surprises at all. It's not a pure white, it's a I'd say sort of ever so slightly off-white. I'm not sure what these little tiny dark marks are inside the plastic. It's not a bad thing though, because of course if you remember from the film, I might try and just grab a screenshot of the film. There we go. It's not pure white by any stretch of the imagination. It's kind of rusty, off-coloured, you know, got that look of being sat there for a long time in a damp sort of underground cave. I have been asked by my daughter if it would be possible to paint these to make them look more like the weathering and the age that you see in the film. And you know what, I'll probably have a go. Why not? I don't think it'd do any harm at all. This is not hugely expensive in the UK. This is, what was this? This was £48, I think, which is not cheap, but certainly, you know, if I paint it, it doesn't come out perfectly, we're going to use it to play chess anyway, so it doesn't matter whether they look great or not. So no harm in trying. Get those other pieces there just so you can see those. Yeah. I think we've seen virtually everything that we need to see. There we go, so the only thing left is the board, and I find this quite amusing. Look inside the box, chessboard below. I imagine they've had to print that on. I can only just imagine how many people they got calling them up saying, there's no board. I've got all the pieces, but there's no board. So you pull this out, you obviously get your silica gel there. Don't eat it, no matter how much you want to. And in here we have the board. Just your standard, just like any sort of game that you buy, board. You know, if you've ever bought Monopoly, Cluedo, any of those sort of main well-known family games, the finish on the board, it's a nice nice print. You can see, if we come over here, you can see, let me zoom in just a little bit down here. Is it going to stay zoomed in? Maybe that's too close for it to focus. There we go. Just here you can see where it folds, the paper just crinkles slightly. I mean, that's inevitable when you have this kind of finish on a board. The paper's not designed to fold in that way. I would say I'm quite happy with it. Again, you know, it's a chessboard and it's perfectly fine. It's going to do the job. Absolutely no problems whatsoever. Last thing I'm going to do is just put all the pieces on the board so that you can see it laid out how it should be. Actually, just while I'm setting these up, I thought I might explain something that a lot of people get confused about. When you set up a game of chess, you'll notice I've turned the board round. There should be a black square in the left-hand closest corner to you. And if you start with that square as A, so that would be A1, you'll hear when people play chess, if you watch any videos, etc., you'll notice that people always refer to things as, you know, E2 to D4 or whatever. It's basically just A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you know, along the bottom, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But when you are setting up the game, the way to set it up is starting with the white side, start with that black square, the bottom left corner, that's A1. We want to come across to B, C, D. E1 is where your white king stands, and stands on the black square there, not the white square. A lot of people think the kings always start on the colour square the same as they are. Not the case. So king starts on black e1, the queen next to the king, and then you look across the table, and what happens at the other side is basically the mirror image. If the mirror line is taken down the centre of the board, the black king is positioned to face across the board at the white king, and the black queen likewise across the board facing the white queen. So that's how they go. So it's not a rotational mirror image. Again, a lot of people might think, well, if the white player is sitting here, king's on the right, queen is on the left, then surely if you go around the table to the player facing the other way, king should still be on the right, queen still on the left, so that you get that, you know, that symmetry, if you like, of each player viewing the board in exactly the same way. Not the case. The black player will basically start with the queen on the right, the king on the left, so it's the opposite way around. I just thought it was worth pointing that out. Other than that, the rest of the setup of the board is dead easy. In fact, I'll leave this running and I'll just set it up for anybody who isn't aware of how you set up a chessboard. Castles, we call these, or at least that's what I've always grown up calling them, but you will hear them referred to mainly as rooks nowadays. I suppose I could look into why that is, but I always grew up calling these castles. There is a move called castling that you can do in chess. To me, it seems strange if you call them rooks and then you talk about castling, but anyway, castles, rooks, doesn't really matter. They go in the left and right furthest positions. Then you have your knights, which go next to those. So we place that there. Just place them in a thematic manner. There we go. And then finally, on that back line, you've got your bishops. There we go. And in front of them, if you like, the foot soldiers, the cannon fodder, whatever you want to call them, you have your pawns. Let's get all of those in position. There we go. So that is the back side set up, and then we will turn the board around. I'll put it this sideways on. That's quite a nice angle to be able to see everything that's going on. Turn this down a bit like that. There we go. Let's finish setting that up then. So we've got our bishop, our pawns, castle and a knight. I must say the knights are quite a large figurine. Can't really call these miniatures, I think they're just a bit too big for that. But it does fit. They've been quite clever. They've made it so it is quite an impressive size. And you know, you can see, but they've actually, despite the size of it, because it's leaning back, it doesn't protrude too much out the front. Shouldn't be too irritating to play with. Although this is not obviously a great set if you're into speed chess where you want to be moving pieces super fast. I can see people knocking things over and getting hooked on things, so this is definitely a chess game. This particular set is for pleasure, just enjoyment, and maybe every time you move a piece and that you'll just be reminded of Harry Potter. In fact, all we're missing now is a miniature size Harry Potter, Ron Weasley and Hermione Granger to come running in and play the game. So there we go, Harry Potter Wizard chess set. And just a reminder, it's made by this, it says the Noble Collection. Further information for people, I've just gone online on my phone here to have a look. It's like the Noble Collection. They've got an online store, they've got a shop in Covent Garden in London. Well worth popping in, I'm sure, if you're in the area, something nice to do. And you can see they specialise in memorabilia reproduction for well-known film sort of series. We've got the Harry Potter films, Lord of the Rings, we've got Star Trek, Jurassic Park, DC, which I imagine is just, you know, your Supermans, your Batmans, all of that good stuff. Fantastic Beasts, Games of Thrones, Jumanji. I didn't know Jumanji was popular enough that it needed that. The Hobbit, Da Vinci Code, Outlander. I'm sure they might have some other things, Bendy Figs, etc. So there you go. Worth a look if you're looking to pick up one of these yourself, or any other kind of memorabilia from these types of films. And I think that's more than enough on this particular set and unboxing. Wherever you are, stay well, take care, and see you in the next video.